All right, let's get started. Hello, my fellow developer friends. I am Michael Kumko. Today, I'd like to share an early preview of our interesting startup idea that takes blockchain into an interesting new field. Please meet AeroBlock, where the blockchain technology meet the aviation. We are still in quite early stage. We work closely with our first customer to finalize what we will eventually make. Thanks ArcBlock for the opportunity to present in the developer conference and share our stories. Our story starts from year 2020. Just like a lot of you, the global pandemic made a big impact last year for our whole industry and my own business. I am a software engineer background entrepreneur living in the great Seattle area. It's very hard to not becoming an aviation enthusiast since this is the place where Boeing gets started and build airplanes and fly them around the world. I became a private pilot for many years, and I used to fly from places to places on my own. Sometimes I fly myself. Sometimes I fly with friends. It's really an exciting experience if you love it. The global pandemic grounded a lot of airplanes and a lot of business activities. But it also brings me the opportunities to explore the new territory since I don't have business to do and can't fly to anywhere for a very long time. Using blockchain technology for aviation is not a new idea. I have read many researches from aviation industry about how to use blockchain in the aviation for a very long time. For example, this is an article by PwC, Data for the Life of the Aircraft, How the Adoption of Blockchain Can Provide a Boost of Power and Efficiency to the Aerospace Industry. They pointed out a blockchain can record each time a part is installed or removed from an airplane. It can also capture how long the part being replaced was in service and the identity, location, and credentials of the technician performing the repair. It's like having a digital birth certificate for every part, updated every time the plane is serviced or inspected. These birth certificates can be aggregated into a digital twin of the aircraft that provides a real-time snapshot of its condition from the moment it exits the assembly line to when it is returned to its lessor or retired from the fleet. In this report Honeywell published, they said aerospace companies of all types and sizes recognize that blockchain networks can help them improve operations and securely share data across many domains and touchpoints, from the airline ticket counter to the flight line. They highlighted 4 key scenarios that blockchain can be very useful: making record-keeping easier, linking the entire supply chain, establishing trust in the used parts market, tracking every part in stock. The airliners are also interested in this space. Lufthansa Industry Solutions has initiated the initiative Blockchain for Aviation. Their goal is to bring together all fields of expertise and to collectively sound out the potentials of blockchain technology. Potential participants include, for instance, software developers, aircraft manufacturers, MRO service providers, logistics providers, lessors, and regulators. Blockchain technology could be used in aircraft maintenance to help verify the use of original parts. It could also be used in the logistics industry to track the shipment of valuable goods from start to finish. Furthermore, the blockchain could make it impossible to forge freight documents and help manage them through access rights. All told, blockchain has the potential to replace centralized platforms and enable cross-organizational, trustworthy workflows whenever multiple parties cooperate to manufacture and transport certain goods. Blockchain is actually solve a very important problem from the aviation industry. If you know what the industry is today, you may be very surprised that aviation still depends on a lot of transition stuff. I can show you those researches on and on, but you might find something interesting. What do we really need from the blockchain? I think what do we really need is not the blockchain itself, but some useful features the blockchain can bring. I think the number one important feature for aviation industry is the immutable and verifiable records. Every pilot, every airplane have a logbook. A pilot logbook is a record of a pilot's flying hours. It contains every flight a pilot has flown, including flight time, number of landings, and types of instrument approaches made. In most countries, pilots are required to maintain a logbook per their government's aviation regulations. The primary purpose is to show that certain requirements have been met for a certificate or rating and for currency purposes. The aircraft logbook is the record in which all data concerning the aircraft is recorded. Information gathered in this log is used to determine the aircraft condition, date of inspections, time on airframe, engines, and propellers. The logbook reflects a history of all significant events occurring to the aircraft, its components and accessories, and provides a place for indicating compliance with FAA airworthiness directives or manufacturer's service bulletins. And don't be surprised, a lot of pilot and aircraft maintenance companies are still depending on those handwriting logbooks. You will be amazed how aviation industry to keep the safe record based on those old technology. Don't get me wrong, they've done a great job in the past, but that also means there are a lot of space to improve. As a software engineer, I am using my digital flight logs all the time, but I still must deal with so many paper records during my flight. I can't recall how many times I show my concerns on those critical important records that only exist on the handwriting logbooks. So we just turned a very fancy blockchain for aviation idea into a very simple one, the verifiable records. It might seem natural for the blockchain, but it's critical for the aviation. Those small steps could bring huge value that impact aviation in the long run. Our goal is simple. We want to use the latest blockchain technology to make aviation better, safer, and easier. Aviation is a very large and broad industry. Our plan is just start from the general aviation and solve some very fundamental problems one by one. Blockchain is one of the cutting-edge technology, but the aviation is actually a very conservative industry. The safety consideration is always the #1 priority. So you might be a little disappointed. AeroBlock is not building a new full electronic airplane, nor we are building the next generation autopilot. Instead we are on something really plain old and simple. The record keeping, the certificates, etc., etc. There are always smart people thinking ahead of us. Our original plan was build a verifiable record on top of an existing blockchain. We evaluated several blockchain platforms I will share briefly later. After we saw the W3C verifiable credentials, we know that is exactly what we need. Verifiable credentials are the digital equivalent of physical credentials such as credit cards, passports, driving licenses, qualifications, and awards. The data model for verifiable credentials is a W3C recommendation. I really like its simplicity, and it is very easy to understand. Just for fun, this is the very first pilot license of United States. It was issued in year 1927. This is what today's license looks like. Not much has been changed, at least from the appearance. Yes, you'll find U.S. pilot license today does not have a photo at all. Even a driver license and student ID have a photo on it. Isn't it interesting? Not just the license, all those used for record keeping, certificates, qualification are all verifiable credentials. The use cases are limitless. Verifiable credentials are so powerful, and it can represent almost all kinds of documents, for example, a driver license, passport, visa, certificates, etc. So essentially at AeroBlock, we build applications on verifiable credentials that optimized for aviation industry. That makes our goal much easier to reach than blockchain for aviation, isn't it? We have evaluated many different types of platform in the past. We started with Ethereum, but quickly its performance and gas fee scared us off. We then tried the enterprise version, Quorum. We also spent quite a bit time on Hyperledger in the beginning. It seemed to be an obvious choice at the time for anyone who looking for a solution for the enterprise. However, all of those are blockchain platform. When we know what we actually need is verifiable credentials, it's not wise to develop everything from scratch, None of those platforms can provide things we need out of the box. We almost checked out every company's in W3C Credentials Community Group and the DIF, Decentralized Identity Foundation. Eventually we found ArcBlock almost provided everything we need, and even better, ArcBlock platform provides much more. After a few months working on ArcBlock platform, we really enjoyed the ride. There are a lot more reasons why we use ArcBlock. I was introduced to ArcBlock during last year's developer conference. There was a panel discussion with someone from Boeing. At that time, we were struggling to evaluate all kinds of blockchain platforms. I'd say we discovered verifiable credentials concept through last year's developer conference, and then we find that was everything we need. I am really impressed how ArcBlock already use verifiable credentials in many different places, and how they make it super easy to use in real projects. It's an honor we are given this opportunity to present in this year's developer conference, even though we still have some distance to showcase our final product. I wish ArcBlock and every developer success. Thank you.